Hello, everyone. Good Sunday morning, if it is Sunday morning to you. Otherwise, whatever the day or time it is, thank you very much for joining me and the Tibetan Buddhist Society of Canberra, our regular Sunday morning calm abiding meditation, which I lead after doing short prayers to reaffirm one's joy and confidence in the teachings and the way of the Buddha Dharma. And refuge is probably core of the teaching, which makes people follow Buddhism. And so that is really confirming one's faith and devotion and commitment and studentship to follow these teachings. So that is to the Buddha, that his amazing teachings, and the Holy Sangha community that has kept and maintained this teaching all these years. So to acknowledge and to rejoice and to pay homage to the Triple Gem, I will first do the refuge prayer 3 times. O zonje jodan zoje jonala chanje bardo dane jazonje dage janzo jebe zonamanje dhala benje zanje Draba yenda Buddha Dharma Sangha Ajere Videla Ladama Bhava Java Jiva Handala Ajare Buddha yenda Buddha Dharma Sangha Ajere Videla Ladama Bhava Java Jiva Handala May I reach Buddha to Now, as a result of having refuge in the teachings, one also has the commitment and a reminder to practice loving kindness to all sentient beings. In Buddhism, practice of love is not to one or two finite sentient beings. And if you shouldn't mistaken that you're going to get that from anyone, if to do that is already a cause of one's pitfall, so people fall into attachment. So loving kindness is to from the nearest and dearest to even difficult people. You should always try to remedy the problems that you have with them by remembering how to practice loving kindness. If you are a mother, just be the mother. If you are whatever it is, that be that best you can to support the person. And so then if you do that, then you really have refuge. Whether you recite refuge prayer regularly or not, that's really good. When you have loving kindness, then the more closer you become with someone and do whatever you can to make them happy, you can see how limited it is. We can do things to make them happy when they have so much sorrow and suffering of their own causing. Then you develop deep empathy and compassion. So we need to remember how to loving kindness should be accompanied by compassion. So what's even smallest act that we can do, we should try to relieve and reduce their sufferings, their mental anguish, their perception, their feelings, and whatever it is, just small. So, act of compassion. This one, you practice this too, you will register an amazing sense of free of sadness and sorrow yourself, because you have no feeling of guilt, anger at all. But you have done best you can by practicing loving kindness, compassion, and also then you have a lot of joyfulness. then you might have some material or physical or other problems, but they are just secondary. Your ability to having the joy of not losing yourself to enmity and retaliation and childishness gives you the real refuge and joy, joy, so joyfulness. So you have bit of skill to how to keep your own humanity going. And then as a result of that, if you practice this, then even you can't help some, because they expect you so much of, or they try to make you feel as to impress them, to make them happy. Even you can't make them happy, you just practice equanimity. Even people really treat you with great contempt and anger and malice, ill will. Just also practice equanimity with them. Maybe I'm not meant to resolve this problem now, but I will be able to resolve next time. In the meantime, I will step aside and practice equanimity. So these are very, very four important arms of Dharma practice, what we call four immeasurables. So that's just a reminder to practice this in everyday life. Let me chant this 3 times. May all beings have happiness and cause of happiness. May they be free from suffering and a cause of suffering. May they know our power from happiness, that know no suffering. May they dwell in equanimity, free from attachment and aversion of those near and far. May all beings have happiness, and the cause of happiness, may they be free from suffering, and the cause of suffering, may they never part from the happiness that knows no suffering. May they dwell equanimity, free from attachment and aversion to those near and far. So with this prayer now we will do the meditation in 3 parts. Calmly bring your whole attention to sit still. Position your body from the floor. Your feet is completely set on the ground in a correct posture, with the 2 hands placed on the lap, with the 2 thumbs gently touching below the navel, elbows and shoulders balanced. Pull your stomach muscle slightly in to help straighten the back. As you erect the back gently, slowly, slightly tuck the chin in. Have a soft, gentle gaze, looking straight on the floor in front, not wide open. No closed, no blinking the eyes. Just keep a serene, peaceful gaze. Your mouth and lips, teeth left natural. Keep the tongue right inside the upper teeth. to avoid dryness and wetness. Have a feeling a single hair is pulling you towards the ceiling. So in this way, you do the scanning of the position of the body, knowing by doing so you're going to harmonize all the four elements, thus cultivating the quality of stillness and balance, so that your body is not too stiff nor too slack. As you scan up and down, you check whether how balanced it is, make a little adjustment, and then feel very wakeful for your effort of keeping the back straight. That's fire element. And then understand and have the wisdom and know why we're meditating. So with this good understanding, keep the mind very clear and cognizant, conscious of why we are doing the meditation for. With this, you knowingly check, correct, adjust, and feel the qualities, and time your bout of effort. And after a good 8 rounds of scanning the body, then take a mini break. And then repeat it again, unimpeded by laziness or forgetfulness or distraction. Just keep bringing your mind to focus on the posture, doing, knowing, seeing, checking, correcting the posture, and register calmness as you do it mindfully. while maintaining the posture as the good foundation for the body, as the container of the mind to meditate. Now during this time, keep the posture as the base, but now you focus on the qualified attention of inhaling mindfully, knowing something positive comes and witnesses in the oxygen, and feel inspired. So in this way you use the incoming breath fully to engage you with concentration as the breath permeate in the body, consciously spread with the bloodstreams, witnessing red light, flooding with the whole body, rejuvenating your energy. And then as one exhales, consciously breathe out the carbon of tiredness and sadness, worry, anxiety, or even physical pain. Just see them as all transient. Breathe out, carbon leaving the body as we exhale. In this way, be meticulous and stay with the attention of qualified inhalation, permeation, and then exhalation again and again for roughly 6 to 8 rounds, and then take a mini break. If you keep doing this without feeling dull or forgetting this, and mindfully doing each more better than the first rounds, it will increase and boost your calm and peaceful, attentive mind in meditation. With this third and last time of the meditation, one focuses on each round of breath, carefully doing, knowing, seeing the inhalation, the permeation, exhalation. At the end of each exhalation, you count the round in forward firstly, as high a number you can get, maybe 20, 30, whatever. And if you succeed to reach that number, take a mini break. Or if you interrupt it and lose the count, as soon as you find that, you also take a mini break and repeat again. But if you reach the point, highest point without any loss of the count, after taking the mini break, then you do the same rounds of breath, but this time do reverse counting, starting with 30, and next round 29. And so the counting assists you to boost your concentration and at the same time boosting the quality of each round of breath super qualifyingly, so it increases the resolution, the clarity, and the actual quality of concentration. So try to do each round without any forgetfulness and distraction, with correct posture to keep each round and then count accordingly. Hello, welcome back everyone. Thank you for joining me this morning. The topic of this morning's talk is the attention of intention, which is very relevant whether one is believer of any spirituality or not. Our everyday to day function, how effective we are, is all to do with how good the attention and intention are combined and integrated. While there's a lot of emphasis in how to be attentive and be mindful on to things, but here we're looking at that very importance of the attention to the very intention of the attention. Often we have a lot of attention to do things outwardly, physically or verbally or whatever, materially or professionally, out with people or with things in order to get a good approval or get a good outcome or something to impress outwardly to look so good, While of course these things are necessary because we are in everyday life, so the importance of the intention, to which we have the attention to, because if according to the teachings of the Buddha, and not only the teachings of the Buddha but our own life experience, you will notice that if your intention is very genuine and very wise and very carefully chosen through, then the effectiveness and benefit and use of what you do externally attentively would have a lot more benefit and a reward. If our intention itself is very shallow and very selfish and very short-sighted and very emotive, then chances are all the careful attention that we try to output would prove to have very kind of a short-lived benefit. So therefore, when we talk about the attention of intention, we have to firstly what it is. What is the attention of intention? Usually we are always paying attention to something outside, with things or people, or what we're doing with our hands, or what we're doing with the things we know how to do outwardly, so that it looks very presentable, or that which looks very impressive on other people. So that's what even then we are told we have a lot of attention deficit. So the deficitness of attention probably says that we have a lot of preoccupation of the mind on something else, and not quite being able to direct to the very main important task that we try to achieve. So the attention deficit mainly is because the heartfelt intention is not there. Because of that, the very preoccupied intention or whatever we have seem to just sort of seem to kind of detrimental to our effectiveness of it. So the whole concept of attention deficit shows that that the attention itself is sidetracked or preoccupied with something else. So that's why attention of intention is very important, because if you are able to focus our attention to our intention, then we are more likely to be cognizant of our own energy and effort, how effective it will be or will not be, So generally, attention meaning that that your mind has to be fixed to an objective. So if the objective is, if we lack attention of intention, objective will be very what we call short-sighted. It would be thinking for myself. So thinking for myself, and also something I wanted to delight my senses. So one's intention is just to get some kind of temporal physical sensorial satisfaction, and just for myself, that's the two. Just thinking of me and my body. And then now I want to get what I want now, and so when the intention is really selfish and physical and very very short-sighted now, then that very much will be regarded as lacking the attention to intention. So why? Because the attention, instead of focusing for the benefit of the future, so benefit of the future, in order to benefit future, so whatever you're going to do or say to somebody, instead of trying to get your way now so that you have instant gratification, but saying, if I say this now, because it may feel good now, but long term it may not be beneficial for us and their relationship. So when your intention is future, then your intention is grabbing attention to know that your intention is very short-sighted. When you know the short-sightedness of intention, then you're only thinking for now, and therefore just to please your five senses, So therefore you realize the fallacy of thinking only for the senses and now and me, and thinking me is very selfish, So one who is able to witness the kind of short-sightedness of the intention, just as quickly as possible, and now and for my body. So when one is thinking of one's body, one's now, and for selfish purpose only, because of this self, now, and the body, self, now, and body becomes the primary purpose of the intention. Now, how often do we become mindful or attentive to notice, I'm thinking just for my body, I'm just thinking my intention is just for my body, just for now, and therefore just for self, When you're able to see that, then you are then you have the attention of the shallowness of the intention. So when you have attention, you need to see the intention that you have of self, now, and body, self, now, and body. And these three things are pitfalls of lack of intention, lack of attention to intention. Because even though thinking of me, my now, and my body, my body, me, and now. When one's intentions for that's very, very short-sighted. If you see animals barking at each other, attacking each other, they're doing just that. They just growl at each other. Their only intention is get something now, and for this body, and now, and immediately. So that kind of animal kind of instinct, only thinking of me, now, and the body. Me, now, and the body. Usually, most people are like animals because they're only thinking for those three. Now, the reason why I thought of highlighting this idea of attention of intention is because the intention is the forerunner or the contributor. Even the karma, they say, the outcome of your karma depends to the quality of intention. If intention is selfish and short-sighted and greed-driven and does it with the enmity and does it with the wrong view, or so if your intention is hijacked by any of these deluded thoughts, and then actually, even though you may put a lot of effort outwardly, but it would not have a very effective. You put a lot of energy and time and effort in that, but it doesn't yield a good outcome. The reason for that is because the intention was so shallow and selfish and short-sighted and egocentric, short-sighted and shallow and egocentric. Short-sighted because it's only think of now, and shallow because it doesn't see the fault of that, and thinking of the body only, it's very, very physical, materialistic, and thinking of me alone is selfish. So from the Buddhist point of view, also, when they talk about the motivation, say we talk about in the Eightfold Path, they say second of the Eightfold Path is right attitude. So when one is in order to have right attitude, you got to know what is wrong attitude. Wrong attitude is usually the wrong attitude that is usually polluted by desire, greed, anger, and ignorance. If these three poisons have sort of been arresting your mind to the extent of not knowing how to check your intention, then the greed and the hatred and ignorance therefore makes oneself to be not have the right attitude. It's a wrong attitude. Wrong attitude not only in that terms, but a wrong attitude in terms of the wrong attitude with ill will and resentment and even one is doing something, one doesn't know it's ill will is the motivation. One try to prove someone wrong and as if one try to help somebody or better, but deep down it's not. You have ill will, therefore you're telling someone is wrong. But you can say someone is wrong for helping to correct them, but not with that necessarily with intention to harming them. And now, are you able to witness that your intention is ill will or your intention is very altruistic? When your intention is altruistic, of course, then you are attentive of the intention, and therefore, most likely, because your intention is altruistic, therefore you wouldn't be arguing necessarily in your own liking or way. You will be very tolerant in order to help the other, and with the motivation to help other, you will not be so short-sighted, you will not be so materialistic, and also you will not be so egotistical. You're able to restrain egotistical nature and short-sightedness and shallowness because you can see the fault of your intention. Your intention is to harm somebody. But if your intention is altruistic, which is the purpose of the right attitude, if you have the ability to witness your own intention and then try to secure good intention first. That's why they say even in taking refuge in the Triple Gem, they say if you're taking refuge in the Triple Gem merely for this life or for oneself to have better result and wealth or whatever the material mundane things and for this life, then because of the lowliness of the intention with one takes the refuge, even though refuge object may be valid, but the intention thinking for oneself for this life alone, it becomes a worldly rich refuge. So your intention to take refuge object might be Triple Gem, but intention with you take refuge for the sake of now the present life alone becomes what we call the worldly intention. The worldly intention is worldly away and contaminated by greed and other afflictions. Now, if one is able to know that this is this intention is poisoned by greed and short-sighted and samsaric intention, and then your where you take refuge, or for that matter, you are about to give something to something, yes, to someone. Your intention to give someone is so that they will love you or respect you, or so they will think nicely of you, or people think you're generous. If you gave something but with that intention, then you have to be attentive to know that is the intention. Do you really think that is the very reason you're giving, or your giving is you really want to help them, so it's very altruistic. So if your attention is altruistic, then there's less danger of being selfish. If your intention is just to for the benefit of future, even though you don't get many reward or so later on, but because you intend to benefit them, and the benefit will be there automatically sooner or later for them and yourself. So you don't even have to doubt about it. Why? Because you're not thinking short-sightedly. For right now, I want a result of something right now, because you are very cognizant of the intention. That's called attention of intention. So therefore, you try to boost such an altruistic intention. That is not altruistic intention is not selfish, and fear of becoming selfish. You try to develop altruistic intention. Fear of doing for just today, make them happy now, to get a good compliment now. No, because your intention is altruistic. Therefore, it's more likely to believe in the long-term benefit of doing that, and because of that, you're not going to be short-sighted, and also you're not going to do something to please your physical body now. You rather emphasize the benefit of the mind. Beneficial for your mind. Long-term benefit for the mind is far more productive than the immediate physical benefit or short-term benefit. Because of that, now one is able to be mindful of the thought, mindful of one's own intention. When one can see one's own intention, if it's not quite right kind of intention, you can restrain, you can pause there and not go with the currently conceived not so good intention. Because the intention is not good, and your attention is able to witness that, you can unfoil, you can stop certain negative karma, or in the mind, or in the body, or by the speech, from being consummated, because you are able to witness the intention before it actualizes, it outputs in any form of deed or words outwardly. So prevention is cure. They call better to cure. You can actually prevent the committing of a non-virtuous thoughts or non-virtuous deeds or non-virtuous words before you do them. Why? Because you have the attention of your own intention. So in Mahayana Buddhist practice, it's not so important that Mahayana vows is not physical vows. Mahayana vows are mainly intention and action vows. Theravada Buddhist vows are mainly physical vows. Nobody checks or verifies your intention. They never say you should have this intention to become a monk or none, or whatever. Most of the people in Asian culture, young boys becoming monks, their intention is simply to please their parents, and they think they are good. They become very honored to become monk. So the intention is just to culturally elevate their own ego and pride, and some may have a little bit more, I would say, deeper reason than that. I'm not saying that not everybody like that. Majority point of view, mostly it's cultural, because the family wants to feel good by having a little boy as a member of a monk. So the intention is more competitive. Sometimes, someone else's have got their son in the monastery, you don't have any. So they think they want this family also is a really devout, really religious one, they send the boy to the monastery. So most of the families send the children, the boy, to the monastery just to feel their own family's kind of standing in the community, to look good, because they look like they're very religious. They let the one of the boy to become monk or something. So often we are practicing culture Buddhism, and so because parent intention is also that. Also, the monk himself becoming monk has no clue. He has no idea. He doesn't even know anything about renunciation. He has no intention to renounce anything. He probably have any. His and my parents' intention is so that they have a better life, because their parents are relatively poor. They can't afford them to school or whatever. So if they send to the monastery, at least they get a good education, and it comes quite free and so on. I'm not saying that's how everybody send the boys. I'm saying that's the intention of the parents. The parents' intention is very much like a kind of pseudo spiritual practice. Outwardly, they are sending the boy to the monastery, but they have no intention for his life to become spiritually blessed. They have every very intention, so they themselves don't have to go through the effort of having to feed and pay school fees and all of that, and also feel themselves to feel good, look good, because they are local religious. So often there is that kind of intention when the parents send the boys to the monastery, or some families, they can't afford to send the boy to school, because of that, the monastery. And so one from that point of view. And if the boy's point of view is also he's doing this just, if he doesn't go and agree with the parents, he will be punished, or he will be sort of not loved or something. And because of that, out of fear, his intention is fear. He's so afraid, he can't say no. So often there are that kind of a cultural Buddhist, many practices are cultural conservatism. You just give in to the way they do. You have no idea your intention is not quite right. You don't have any renunciation to leave home from homeless. You actually have every interest to better your life by becoming monk, and because you can get a whatever better situation than that. So the intention lacks renunciation. But we are not all cognizant of the intention, are we? Are we? We're not. We are not taught to think like that at that early stage. We just do culturally, conservatively, whatever seems appropriate. Now you will see that whether we are cognizant of our own intention. When you're able to check your own intention, you probably have heard enough Dharma so that it is not just looking good out there to impress others and to make you feel good, but deep down you haven't checked your motivation at all. So in Mahayana Buddhist teachings, the motivation is most important one. To have a more good motivation, you have to be attentively able to choose a good or better motivation than those that not so good and lowly selfish motivation. So for that matter, one needs to therefore, if the motivation is therefore altruistic, in order to even you take refuge in the Triple Gem, you take refuge because samsara is full of suffering. Lots of our unwanted sufferings are created by our own afflictions, karma, and so our intention to take refuge is to free from suffering and its causes, and with compassion to yourself and others who are otherwise very much suffering. If your intention is that, and then when you take refuge, then you take refuge, then it will have a totally different outcome. Even in a secular situation, if your intention is to help your brother or something, if your intention is completely selflessly go to help your brother, then that intention of selflessly helping the brother, you can then withstand personal hardships or whatever you have to sacrifice. And this, therefore, will give you a greater sort of enthusiasm and effectiveness of how much you can help your brother for whatever it is, because you totally willingly gave your time and energy for the sake of the brother, not for your own sake. And you're knowing that if you help your brother, it is good for you as well. So this doesn't really matter. That kind of intention of helping others help us even more. So when you can say, if just I think of just for myself, I hardly help myself. But if I think of somebody else and give my time to do that for others, it will greatly help me to be able to do something for the sake of others instead of always worrying about myself. So by sheer ability to recognize the kind of altruistic nature of my attitude helping others, and also not doing it just for temporarily now to help your brother, but in the long term it will be great provision for your own spiritual progress and effectiveness, helping anyone for that matter in the future. When you believe in the future benefit of whatever you do, that is not short-sighted, is it? So how do you know it's you got a good intention? You have the good intention under the good focus attention, is because you are now much more pleasant and willing and cooperative to do things now, because you wouldn't show any weariness and resentment and boredom. You wouldn't show. Why? Because the power of intention with you that you are able to execute makes yourself to be agreeable to withstand those time and energy and whatever hardships or the difficulty you've gone through. So therefore, when our intention is long term and for altruistic to for the benefit of, say, you and your brother's relationship, or how that will help everyone as in the family, you're very altruistic. Therefore you don't worry about a little bit of hardships you have to tolerate and swallow. You don't mind. If you have that kind of a cognizant of saying, oh, I should think of the other benefit of him and the rest of family, and never mind, I have to do some shouldering of the responsibility. If you have that, you can see the altruism also very far-sighted. You actually think well ahead of future. You're not thinking of now me, and as a result of that, your physical body will not be complaining. Therefore you're not thinking so much for the body. You're more thinking of long-term benefit for the mind stream to be able to do that. Now, if you're able to really understand these three things, instead of thinking for the body and my body and the now and myself, the self, body, and now. If you think if your intention is self, body, and now, then if you're able to spot those three things when you're having a conceiving intention, they're all about this me, now, and body. Then that is mindfulness of the attention, what we call attention of intention. And what is the attention of intention? Knowing the faults and limitedness and flawed motivation. How flawed this motivation, because it is firstly short-sighted, just now, and also for the body, also for just me. Most of the time, it's what is in me. If you're not getting something what you like, if you don't get something what your body like, if you don't get something you like now, most people are impatient and irritable because of these three. They are so fixated about me, now, and body. Now the one who is really super mindful of the attentiveness of the intention, then he or she will recognize all of our problems, life's problems and failures came from these very poorly conceived intentions for me, now, and body. It should be upgraded to think of the other mind stream and future. When you think about like bodhicitta is totally thinking of the until essence of enlightenment reach. It says until essence of enlightenment reach. So that's talking about the future and not now, for the benefit of others. So that's not for the general just benefit of me, for the benefit of others, and therefore not for this body. Of course, automatically for the mind stream. Because of that, then you are very your whole character will be retransformed. Your character will be your new character will come out. Your character because we're not stuck with one character. Remember, character is not in the gene. Character is not in your schooling. Character is in your habit. Your habit are transferable when you know what habit needs to be changed from which to which, And so our attitude can be changed. That's exactly what we're talking about. So therefore, attention of intention is recognizing our shallow, short-sighted, selfish intention, and recognizing them, and then mindfully learning to develop attention, mindfulness of attention, Because of that, then you are able to now adhere to an intention that is far-sighted, that is altruistic, that is spiritually minded. They say that in Buddhism, if you are attached to this life, you are not a Dharma person, for instance. Now, if you attach to this life, that will be only short-sighted. Even this life is considered to be short-sighted, let alone now in Buddhism. If you're doing it just for this life's gain and kind of fame and respect and profit, it is not a Dharma person's intention. But do we know that? If we can detect that intention, nobody can read our mind. Therefore, even if they can, do you believe them? But we have to be able to read our intention. The reading our mind means we reading our own intention. To be able to read our intention, that means we have some strategy happening. So first we try to identify our intention. What is the identification of intention? Wholesome intention to unwholesome intention to neutral intention. So there's a virtuous intention, a non-virtuous intention, and an indifferent intention. Often we have more non-virtuous intention than virtuous intention, because non-virtuous intention is almost like a habituated pattern, and the virtuous intention is almost like a revolutionized kind of a new download. The best download of your understanding is you have downloaded these good altruistic intention that thinks of others and the future and the mind stream, benefit of mind, future, and other sentient beings. So when you have altruistic motivation, you are able to think that for the sake of all sentient beings, I must reach the state of enlightenment. For that purpose, I'm going to do this practice. So even the exclusive Mahayana bodhicitta motivation is always with the help of a good mindset, good attention, that actually can conceive what is altruistic intention, what constitutes altruistic intention. Altruistic intention is called Mahayana. Maha means it's great vehicle. Great vehicle means it's a great vehicle for your effectiveness to benefit yourself and others. So, and you want to have a good vehicle, don't you? Yeah, you want the vehicle, if your mind is in altruistic intention, futuristic intention, and spiritual intention, if you have these, then you have become basically Mahayanist. Mahayanist meaning it's not a mind that is so small-minded, thinking of me, this body, and now, That's what most people, when you find yourself frustrated and angry, usually that's what it is. When you're thinking of just me, my body now, and you didn't get what you want, and then you are in fury. You are in fury, and you are very, very irrational, and you don't know what you're doing, let alone fear the consequences. Because it's all about you and now, remember? And so when you're not able to see the fallacy of the short-sighted, selfish mind, then you are not able, you don't have the attention of the intention. So even when we meditate, even when you watch the breath or whatever it is, we are actually doing meditation so that we are able to recognize our own intention that should be recruited, recognize our intention that should be restrained and culled, recognize our intention that should be transformed and modified. Now, that is the meditation. That is the mindfulness. Wise people, control their mind, control their intention, control their attitudes. and carpenter works on the wood, Yeah, he works on the wood, and there was a piece of log that has neither useful for this, no. But once the carpenter bring his tool, and he made a small, nice, beautiful sculpture. It's like that. So we have to be mindful of, like a carpenter with the wood. We have to be mindful of our intention. So if our intention is very short-sighted and very selfish and very much materialistic, materialistic. So let's call these three. Materialistic intention is just thinking of the body, and altruist and a selfish intention is just thinking of me. Short-sighted is just now. So when one is able to see the fallacy or see the kind of shortcomings of these three intentions, that probably are the causes of your one is thinking just for this life. One is only doing for this life. So it's considered you don't have a renunciation. If you're just thinking for yourself, you have no bodhicitta, for instance. So you can tell intention. When you say that if you're attached to this life, you're not a Dharma person, who checks whether you're attached? No, doesn't mean you wear a good jacket or you live in a good house. Doesn't mean you're attached to it. Means that you are able to recognize the intention. Or even though outwardly you might be doing a lot of Dharma practices, but what's your intention of doing that? Why you're so enthusiastic of doing that? What's your intention? Yeah. Because a lot of people help somebody they have a completely different agenda. They had another intention. You didn't realize that was their intention. No wonder when they didn't get what they want from you, and then they get angry. Yeah, we see those kind of people all the time. Their intention was you. Their intention was they wanted you for themselves. And they're more interested in you as a partner or something, and they weren't really interested in Dharma. They weren't really interested in helping someone else at all. And then, because of their intention is so materialistic, so I would say infatuation, then they become so disappointed because they didn't get what they want. So previously they were doing all sorts of things, but the intention was so spoiled by their carnal desire or whatever, or whatever it is, and so because of that, it doesn't benefit them, let alone anybody else, because they were not attentive of their intention. And there were lots of stories like that, people are so enthusiastic, so helping, and they compete that who can help you type of thing. And when they're not able to check their intention, then because they didn't get what they want, and all of a sudden they just flip. Why? Because their intention was not Dharma. Their intention wasn't something. They may show some interest outwardly, but they know. But those people whose intention is really good, no matter what hard and difficulties that things happen, they will continue. Their intention is their intention is armored with altruism, with renunciation, with selflessness, with kind of a long-term benefit for sentient beings or whatever. If the intention is like that, then they can withstand. They will stay and do things through thick and thin. Why? Because the intention is kind of very highly charged selfless motivation, not thinking for this life, not for oneself, and not just to please your body. Because the intention is not soiled by either of these three, and then they will be able to endure the time and the difficulties because the intention is so well conceived. and it will not be dashed or it will not be interrupted by difficulties. So next time you check whether why you have not stuck in doing things, it's because your intention was something else. When you want something else, what you want, you didn't get that, and then all of a sudden nothing, you couldn't do anything anymore because your intention was not about helping other people, having benefit other sentient beings, or working for the benefit of other sentient beings, or whatever. No. Intention was how much a piece of pie you're going to get from that. That kind of attitude. So that's where it's very important that when one becomes very, very cognizant of the cognizant and attentive of one's own intention, then your quarrel or fight isn't so much with people or outside ones. You're always intrigued, and you can see this inner kind of darkness which is seizing you, letting you down always. Your lack of carefully conceived intention, bodhicitta. If the intention is goodwill and selfless and long, far-sighted and really, really wise, and then you will not be so interruptible. You would not be sort of dented. Your morality or your morale or your intention could be demoralized by difficulties. Why? Because your intention is good. Right from the very beginning, the intention is good. So sambasana satan lamya zang, that's what Tsongkhapa said. He says, if your intention is good, the stages and levels and things you go through will also be useful. Good means they will be good. No matter what, how tough or challenging things, they will become turning point for your improvement. Because your intention is well, carefully chosen. If the intention is to benefit others, the intention is to altruistic, loving kindness, intention is renunciation, intention is very, very for the benefit of others, then you will never fail to benefit others and yourself. Why? Because karma is, as a result, is determined by the intention. Result is determined by the intention, not by the action itself. So quite a lot of people perform wonderfully impressive action outside, but the intention was something else. So they were very good at, but the intention was somewhere else. All of a sudden, all the thing they did in the past was just gone out of the window because they were bolted by their own bad intention. So the bad intention tend to have very evil consequences, and but if you have good intention, even though you're going through a very difficult phase of difficulty, say yourself, say if you have a very good intention, no matter how many hardships you face with difficult situation and people, but you'll be able to carry it through. Why? Because your intention is well armored, is not short-sighted, not just for me, genuinely for the benefit of long term and for the benefit of others. Then you will have a consistency in terms of it. You will able to draw a lot of I would say contentment and rejoice for yourself, being able to firstly conceive, secondly maintain, thirdly succeed. But those who are not attentive of their intention, they're only attentive of what I'm getting, what I'm not getting, what they're getting, and that sort of thing. When their mind is greed and envy and jealousy and competitiveness, exactly. So they don't realize their attention has been completely hijacked by greed. Before when the intention was good, it was all okay. All of a sudden they say, "What is it in for me? I want this," and then all of a sudden, then things doesn't work. So then those kind of person could not continue doing good because the intention is so shallow, so short-sighted, and so selfish. But those people who are able to see the fault of those intention, because they're able to see now they're able to see the result is not. Result is determined by the intention, not by the outward performance. Outward performance. Lots of people are highly trained in their professional skills, but they are not happier with the more they get. They really wanted to get a lot of material benefit, but the material benefit they have is not benefiting them, become cause of their stress. Why? The intention is all about me, materialism, and societal benefit. So I've been thinking about these three very carefully in relation to the three principles of the path for freedom from parting from for attachment. Because Manjushri said to Sachin Kunga Nyingbo, say if you attach to this life alone, if you attach to this life as an intention, then you're not a Dharma person. Full stop. You're not on the Dharma. And if you attach to samsara, this means name and fame and gain and respect and reward or whatever. If you're thinking of just what you can get from that type of thing, then you don't have renunciation. Full stop. And if you're only thinking of me, what I can get, only thinking of me, and then you don't have bodhicitta. So you don't have you're not a Dharma person, you have no renunciation, you have no bodhicitta. And if you're clinging to your ideas alone, and then you don't have the right view. Full stop. So those are the four parting from for attachment. So what they're really talking about is, if you're thinking of this life, then you're attached to just short-term benefit. And spiritual people think long-term benefit. They have to put a lot of investment of time and effort. Like bodhisattvas practice 3 uncountable eons selflessly, and for the benefit of attaining enlightenment, for the benefit of all others. So therefore, they basically they're not thinking of the short-term benefit in this life, let alone next life. And a lot of Buddhists are always thinking of next life benefit. If you do this, you have a good karma, but that sort of thing. Even that, is still attached to next life benefit. But you should not be attached to this or next life alone. You should have the overall benefit of doing something. So that's why one shouldn't get attached to be now, and then attach to worldly gains, worldly dharmas, name, fame, respect, and gains, and you can't tolerate any I would say criticism or blame. You may not like it, but you just see that as your fault. You are human, and then accept them with the humility, and then if you're able to do that, then you are not caught in the samsaric kind of highs and lows. You see them as the nature of samsara, and so therefore no point getting attached to praise, and no point getting infuriated by disparagement. Because why? Because you're not attached to samsara. Full stop. So it doesn't really bother you anymore. It's just that you have to go through it just because that's part of the world. But you're not up in arms saying, "Oh, well, how dare you try to accuse me," or things like that. Why? Because you're not attached to samsara. So therefore, your intention is not try to defend your little goodness or something. You don't have to. Why? You're not attached to your personality, your identity, in this life, this life or in the samsara, and because of your own intention, and because if you think, even if you have to tolerate, you tolerate for the benefit of others. I'm supposed to be a practitioner. If another practitioner is treating me like this, with or without some of your own faults, if I don't tolerate, it will bring a terrible bad name to me and themselves, and it will be not good. So I will just tolerate for the sake of being a practitioner. And so with one's intention is not so much who to prove them wrong and to clear your name type of intention. No, just tolerate it. Even people practice tolerance. You have to take your intention. You have to be mindful why you're tolerant. Some people are tolerant, some people are very, very diligent too. But what's the diligence? Why they want to always help you? What's the intention? Exactly. Yeah. Why all of a sudden they don't want to help you? Exactly. Who will know what they want to do? You never had any idea that they will be so enthusiastic to help one moment, and all of a sudden no enthusiasm to help. See, they're bolted by their own selfish, short-sighted intention, and they can't keep up with the requirement. But those who are able to think of the fallacy of the loopholes of this thinking of me and now and samsara and kind of short-term benefit, and seeing them those intention as a very, very short-sighted thing, then say if you have some difficulty with your parent or someone in your relationship, and if your intention is being able to be patient with my parents is good for both our mind stream in the future, and even I have to do a little bit more physical lifting than I usually do, but it doesn't mind. It's good for my mind stream. But as a result of doing this, being able to repay the kindness of my elderly parents, and instead of being impatient and argumentative, I should be doing this. This is good for my mind and body, and as a result of that, this is my parents who gave me so much, and I can do so little to help them. I should be able to do this delightfully. When you're able to think like that, your intention is so clearly conceived by your attention. What kind of mindfulness you're practicing? You're trying to practice mindfulness so that you become productive or something. What's the volume? You want to earn 6-digit income, but for the sake of what? So that you can earn 6-digit income. It's not about materialism, If your intention is how much bigger a wage or income you can get, that's the intention is materialism, not spirituality. Your intention is just for your comfort of the physical body. That's also attached to me and my body and now and all short-sightedness, Yeah. So you have to therefore try to see your choice of being able to understand the short-sightedness, selfish, and materialistic nature of oneself. If the intentions are soiled by these three, which often are, by the way, shouldn't be too surprised. Most sentient beings' mind are, and so if you're among the sentient beings, you will have quite a lot of occasions. You will find red-handedly be able to recognize, my intention is soiled by greed or short-sightedness and enmity and a lack of endurance, and so on. So you will be able to quickly be able to recognize your intention. Like, how could you recognize if you have negative, this kind of shallow, short-sighted, selfish intention, then you will develop angst and enmity and disrespect and doubt and suspicion and fear and anxiety of other people. They will just manifest your mind stream. So how do you know that your intention is not improved? Because then you have all these kind of emotional kind of instabilities. But those people who have had the benefit of practicing power of the attention of choosing and modifying and improving the intention, their mind stream is, even if people are so negative to you, but you don't have any ill will towards them, because you will tolerate their aggression to you for the allaying of negative karma you yourself would have committed in the past. And you're not going to fight or flee from the situation, but you will have to handle it with grace. And so you will be freed from ill will and resentment by virtue of having this intention. But if you don't have this right ability to choose the good intention, you wouldn't know what you're doing, and then you will be devastated in the long term. You will have a lot of post-traumatic stress disorder because you didn't know your intention at the time. You were reacting this way. You react to something, didn't you? And you didn't even know you were reacting, let alone overreacting. You didn't even know the intention with which. Why? Because you didn't have the attention to check your intention. Why? Because your attention was all lost in things external, Your intention was all lost in actions, not to check your own intention. That's why, they say, when you are with people, watch your mouth. When you are on your own, check your intention. That's the practitioner's really meditation, Meditation or practice doesn't mean you're always reciting something, you're always doing some religious thing and look like you're... But even though you might be sitting quiet or something, but check your intention. Check your intention. Particularly for the Mahayana, because the Mahayana Buddhist vow is not about physical vows, it's always checking your intention. And nobody can check your intention because hardly we ourselves can see our intention. How could the other people can see our intention? They're busy not being able to see their own. So therefore you can't afford to impress outwardly looking good. If the intention is the determining factor of the action, you have to be the first and foremost, right? You should be up early in the morning checking your intention. Even you're doing something, check your intention. Even in the middle of the doing, check your intention. Even when you're finishing that very well, impressively, people compliment you, even then check your intention, You become very, very proud or very becoming full of ego or pride, or because people are so generous, they're making a compliment to you, you should see, oh, this is not really my own deed. This is a result of many people's guidance and help, and I should not be so arrogant about these things. This is very dangerous, even when you give a receiving praise. See, that's the whole thing. Even if you get really big criticism by other people who and then your intention is, maybe they have a big point to that I have sort of, I have ignored or it didn't occur in my mind, and so I should tolerate this, I should accept this, I should not sort of fight with them or argue with them, but swallow them, accept them with the repentance, and if I did this, then I will put them out of distress, and because at least I can handle it myself better than pushing it aside and denying and angry. And if I did this, it would be. If your intention is that non-retaliation, like if you didn't retaliate, you didn't criticize them. So mere not retaliation is not patience. A lot of people suppress. They call passive aggression. They are not saying anything, but the intention is almost like seething with ill will. They'll await an opportunity when they can take advantage and they can revenge them. Then if you do that, you will suffer consequently from then onwards. Your suffering will be continuous. What we call incessant suffering, basically. You wouldn't be able to sleep well, you wouldn't taste food good, you wouldn't be able to rejoice the things you have. Your mind will be completely bugged because you didn't realize how poisonous these ill will and other intentions are. So therefore the mindfulness of attentiveness of intention is very important. And because that other people can't help you. They couldn't say, oh, you didn't check your intention, I can tell you're doing this. Nobody would tell that. But we have to have this thing inside ourselves, how to download this app, so to called checking your intention. And if to check your intention, you have to be attentive, whether you have checked or you are checking or you are not checking. And the demerits of not checking your intention from the past, and importance checking your intention for any act that you may consummate. When you have this kind of strategy of thinking like this, it can be quite rewarding because therefore mindfulness of intention gives you, if the greed, covetousness, ill will and resentment and anger, all those kind of, if they are inside your mind stream, you're making sure that your intention is not hijacked by any of these kind of deluded afflictions. So, and then you try not to do much at all, then do a lot without checking your intention. One who's able to check their intention very well actually is beginning to see kind of a light in his mind. You can, because the intention is not always permanent. Intention is very, very fluid and very, very changeable, depending to what kind of argument you give. You do it for or against, your intention can be like that. Intention is like the canal. You dig up the canal, so that if you dig up the canal to direct some water in the field, it becomes irrigate. You can irrigate the water according to the canal. The canal is not dug very well. The water wouldn't go. So the candle has to be drawn in a way the water can flow very well. Like that, your intention has to be checked. The one who checks his intention more before his action that is consummating, that is mindfulness. Mindfulness of the intention. Attention of the intention. When you have the attention of intention, then you're more likely to do right action. Without right attitude, even right action is difficult. Right speech is very difficult. People usually have no idea what they're saying because they never check the intention. They have no idea what they were doing because they never check the intention. As soon as they check the intention, there's a little bit of pause, may even be a very good restraint. You have the controlling ability. You can control your attitude. You can control that intention getting out of the way. You have the ability to highlight that intention. It's like you have highlighted. You have a kind of you have a sort of contracting sort of system. Contracting. You can actually source the contract. Where has you been thinking this? What have you been thinking? What have you been talking to yourself? So you can see where this intention is come from, bad idea of other people or your own greed or your own enmity or whatever. The intention doesn't just happen like that. Intention is usually conceived under the sway of something else. Some people say something to you, all of a sudden hijack your intention. Before you had really, really good intention. All of a sudden you got stirred up by their intent. And so you couldn't tell how quickly you lost your good intention, devotion or faith or friendship, because you listen to the bad companion and bad ideas. So you have to see how quickly your intention could be hijacked. People were first going to do, and all of a sudden they don't want to do. That's right. So how long does a good intention, how long does it take to conceive a good intention, and how long it is maintained? And is it maintained and execute the deed? Often not. Often it's so difficult to even recognize the lack of a good intention unless you have the attention. If you do have the attention to see the lack of good intention, then you try to recruit a deliberately good intention. So if you succeed to recruit some good altruistic intention, futuristic intention, unselfish intention, if you're able to do that, then of course it's a bit of an uphill because it's something new you are trying to do. So you have to innovatively cultivate that. When you have innovatively cultivated that, then how long can you maintain that intention? That's the whole thing. So you have to be mindful. For the Mahayanists, Mahayanists is all about attention of intention to keep bodhicitta. First to conceive it, then to maintain it, then to execute it. Even if you did something really well, it's finished, still you have to dedicate it. You have to dedicate it for the sake of others. That's a good intention of sharing. But if you think it's my doing, and my failure, and his failure, then when you start thinking like that, that shows that your intention, you don't have an intention in the beginning to start it. You have don't have the good intention and to dedicate it, and let alone you have a good intention to maintain that good intention from beginning throughout the whole action. So in Mahayana bodhicitta, Mahayana's highest practice is attention of intention of how to guard bodhicitta. How to conceive bodhicitta, how to guard it, how to maintain it, and how to make sure that you do not lose that good intention with someone else's negative influence or some whatever other things can trip you over because of your vulnerability. Got a lot of practitioners like that. They help somebody, so help or do something with somebody, with relatively in a very good reality. All of a sudden they just bolted. And what happened? They had no attention to check their intention. They thought they were helping people, but it didn't even help themselves. Why? Because they just totally lost the plot. And why? Because they couldn't understand. They were caught. They were hijacked by not being able to check their intention, but something else. Something else just stirred them up, and then they lost, and they couldn't reclaim that friendship or respect or love, or they can't love their parents anymore or whatever, and so they think that dad is violent or mother is alcoholic or whatever. They just keep that, and they don't know how to reconnect with themselves. And wherever they go, they will always project their father onto others or mother onto others, and then this becomes the pattern. Why? Because they don't know the importance of checking their own intention, and that which enables them to check and develop the good intention is the attention. So that's why these two, mindfulness of the attention of intention, is not just something when you're practicing formally in meditation, but you can always keep that awareness of your intention. They say, don't forget bodhicitta. No? Don't forget bodhicitta means don't forget altruism. Because if you don't forget altruism, then you will also remember long-term benefit, You will also remember, such and such person, this, but what were they in the past life? What may have I done to them? And you start thinking like that. And what would be the consequences if I did this to him? So therefore, you're able to long-term future benefit as well. And so you don't look for just to feel good now and right and me, You don't think of that. Not thinking this me now and my body, myself, definitely has something happening called cultivation of attention of the intention. It's almost like even more profounder than mindfulness of body, mindfulness feeling, mindfulness of phenomena, and mindfulness of a mind or something like that. All combined together. Also, don't talk about mindfulness intention. Four foundation mindfulness, mindfulness body, feeling, and thought and object. Objects are, when you hear there's no mention of the intention, mindful of intention, checking the altruism. They don't. But in the Mahayana Buddhism, that the whole idea of importance of even the relative bodhicitta, wishing and engaging bodhicitta, altruism, try to give rise and strongly feel the need to cultivate altruistic motivation for the sake of others, is paramount. There is no greatness of vehicle unless this great intention is conceived, and this conceiver of that intention is the mind that is now so attentive. It has no deficit of the attention in focusing on his intention, because otherwise whatever he do, they're all attention deficit, because he is so preoccupied, try to impress other people, try to look good on the self. He never checks his intention. So the attention deficit is constant, because one is not able to check one's own intention. When one is able to check one's intention, it's quite advantageous in the sense it makes your mind very light, heart very sincere, and you're unintimidatable by any difficulties or whatever the things may be, because every time you go through them, it empowers you to check and improve your motivation ever again. So with this, we conclude here. Thank you very much, everyone. May you have a very good, mindful, attentive kind of activity happening in checking and correcting and improving your own intention in whatever the case might be, whatever what you are doing, not just doing religious thing, but even ordinary tasks. If you work also, if your intention is to assist your boss and help them and like that, it's very altruistic, respecting them, and you be very cooperative. If your intention is all about I don't want to do this is not my job, why is asking me? If you're thinking of this kind of very, very uncooperative mentality, you will be grueling yourself. You will have a toxic workplace, and it's the workplace itself is not toxic, because your intention is all about you and what you want, and no cooperation, no selflessness, no respect of others. Being able to detect that can change you and make you to grow in couple of days, you grow emotion, spiritually, much more than you have done so in years. So that with this, we do the dedication merits. As I mentioned, you also, even what good you did, you should offer it as a prayer for those to be free from ill will and short-sightedness, and may they be blessed with the good motivation, and so on. So with this. O Bade Mere Mewe Hovaga Da Deva Menzenge Hovnesen Me Aile Bere Robin from the ocean of the Desine de Herenda Mahayana Dijin Vadeva Mere I have a me ave begas delavas to hold the Mahayana dij courage manju genode as a manda badra de la wallow oh the hezambo I should de mere de hesalem body jeda teba na yada where has been bo me dengre frele with the generation. Thank you, everyone.